Everybody late. All these people late. Pete late. Still late. Everybody late. I'm on time. See what we looking like. Everybody late and I'm on time. Get this together. There we go. I'm on time. Y'all can hear me, right? Y'all can hear me. Should be 81. Put some glasses in the chat if y'all can hear me. Glasses in the chat if y'all can hear me. You can hear me, Pete?
I can hear you.
That's a good start. Stills late as usual.
No.
Yeah. Norm still late.
Shut up.
And it's crazy to me, right? Because when we all agreed to do this, right? I said, hey man, we agreeing to do this. It don't matter what's going on. I don't care if somebody is in the hospital dying. We agreed to do this.
That's right.
We agreed to do this on time for the lunch hour. No Ceilings Live lunch hour. Link below. Subscribe to No Ceilings Podcast. It's released every Tuesday, first thing in the morning when you wake up on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else you get your podcast from. The last episode is also in the link below. We here right here, man. No ceilings. That part right there. Yeah. Shout out to Dewan Donaldson, C Deal. This is a great question. How Pete late? He on colored people time now.
I get the information second. So I have to set up and log in. Like he logs it in and creates it, and then I have to come in once I get the link. So it's always a couple little setup, moments.
Shout out to C Deal. What up, G? What up, Pete? Huge fan, man. Thank you for No Ceilings. 4th season. It's been a journey. Shout out to Felicia Sutton. She's starting the live off with a prayer. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Donald Trump is probably feeling the same way today. Donald Trump is probably feeling the same way today. They didn't try to knock Donald Trump off twice in a year. That might be top level.
Yeah, and I guess not that long ago, there was also a Mar-a-Lago breach that got like deep into the property. That's a big property, so if you get pretty far in there, that's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah. What do you know about that so far, Pete? I've been seeing it on the news.
I watched.
They tried to knock homie out a year.
There's a guy who was like, I think for 11 or 12 years was a Secret Service agent. Now he has this gigantic podcast. His name's Dan Bongino. Mm-hmm. So he gets a lot of leaks. Like a lot of people he knows who used to work in the Secret Service use him as their leak basket for like yet to go public. What do you call whistleblowers? So he knows what the protocols are supposed to be and understands how the training and how the team coordinations are, because he did that. He did presidential, what do you call it? Protection under 3 administrations. So he talks about it at length for an hour at a time. And since the first one, I've been watching all the time, because usually like 2 or 3 times a week, he'll talk about that kind of shit. So like he was saying, this guy's not from the area. And I've been past that golf course. It's just a big ass wall. I mean, it's like a street and then there's like a concrete like wall, like, all the way around it and shit. I don't know. The guy jumped it and hid in some shrubbery or something, but like the dude's not from South Florida. This was supposedly a fairly last minute trip to the golf course. Mm-hmm. But it's like, he says he doesn't want to say anything about it, but it feels like there's a mole. And he worked when he was working in Secret Service, they uncovered a mole in the Secret Service. Some woman out of Moscow or something. So like that kind of thing can happen, but it's like you don't have a lot of time to get there to know what hole has a soft spot. I mean, unless he took up off paper residence in South Florida, just watched the driveway. Oh, it's Sunday. Looks like it's time for his golf trip. He just got back from the Vegas speech. I know there's a soft spot on the 6th hole by the fairway. Better go. I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe. I have no idea. But it seems, even the last one, it's like strategic incompetence. And there have been whistleblower leaks to him saying that there is what looks like politically driven strategic incompetence on the part of the Secret Service.
I mean, listen, white people obviously don't like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That does warm a place in my heart and make me I enjoy when white people don't like other people. You know what I
White
mean?
people and white people often have a history of clashing.
Yeah. But
Do a lot of that.
but like, there's no way you could mean to tell me all the white people are upset at him and I should be upset at him too.
Donald Trump, actually, I mean, he polls strongest with white people, but there's it's a 60-40 kind of split, and the 40 that hate him want to cut his throat.
And why do you think white people genuinely hate him?
I think there's a handful of reasons. The ones that matter hate him because he wants to upset the apple cart. I think the other ones hate him because white people have this thing, particularly, like, how can I describe it? Not a lot of us live a life like me, socially, so to speak, but they want to feel like they're people of the people, more so in the coastal elite side, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So they really, really get off. And because here's where it starts. Before this point, the lead up to this moment in the white experience is I want to not be considered a racist. I don't want to be considered, I don't want to be burdened with this guilt, because I live off in these secluded suburbs and I like the idea of other people, but when I see other people, they make me very uncomfortable. So that's a conflict. So what I'm going to do to feel better about myself is find somebody else that I can call a racist or call a sexist or call a xenophobe or whatever the hell. And then people will think I'm great and I'll feel better about me. So when they get the opportunity to deflect at a target and they all galvanize and choose a target and just go hardcore at that person, it becomes like a very feverish social orgy of sorts.
Like a mental lynch mob.
Exactly.
Like a mental lynch
exactly.
mob.
Like the kind of lynch mob where you aren't sure who's being lynched because they kind of like that. What's that thing where you choke yourself and then you auto asphyxiation, erotic, that whole thing? Yeah, they got a weird group.
No Ceilings Live, Monday morning. Shout out to everybody in the chats jumping with us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Pacific Standard Time. The lunch hour, where the real mental minds meet. You know what I mean? Not when everybody get off work, you feel me? But the real lunch hour where the mental minds meet. Shout out to Derwan. Shout out to C Deal, who been around since day one. Mills Lane, American Negro News. What up, my boy? That's Rob. I know who that is. Anthony Jackson, Devon Cudmore. Watch up with it, man. We appreciate y'all being right here. Again, man, Super Chat's open. Just getting to this Monday news, man. Trump, they tried to knock Trump off again. White people again for the second time in about 2 months. You know what's sounding crazy? I think they're going to get him.
I think that's not unlikely.
I think they're going to end up killing him.
Yeah. And there's also talk that there's some sort of like Iran has a huge bounty on him.
Mm-hmm.
So like there was speculation that Cuba or the Soviet Union like mentally corrupted the guy that shot JFK.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that probably was co-opted in some sort of agreement with the CIA. It looks that way, just based off of what's being deliberately withheld. But his travels were kind of funny, and his relationships were kind of funny on the documents they did release that showed he had ties with foreign adversaries.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's that far-fetched to look at the Kennedy thing and go, okay, the CIA has back-channel communications with the Kremlin, with Cuba. They had the Bay of Pigs thing. They had the Cuban Missile Crisis. They had all this shit. And they would go, hey, look, we don't like this Kennedy guy. You figure you find a soft target as somebody that's got an American passport that goes to your countries, get in his head, and we'll make sure we look the other way when you clip him. And then we could go back to having a nice, quiet Cold War, and we could all just raise money and political whatever, and we'll all just stay happy as could be.
Dower said it was Israel, not Cuba or the Soviets.
It depends.
Depends on who you ask.
Yeah. I don't know that he ever went to Israel. I just know because they did some group did a little mini series on the History Channel, and they kind of tracked that he had gone out of the country, his communications. He went to Mexico City at a time and like was believed to have met or gone to the Soviet what do you call the place? The diplomatic building in Mexico City.
Yeah.
That's what they said in that thing. It was verified.
Damn. Poor Trump, man. That's the thing, man. He who wears the crown. Heavy is the head, brother. Heavy is the head.
Yeah.
You watch a lot of football too, right? You watch a lot of football. You're a football guy.
Yeah, I watch a lot of college football. By the time I get to Sunday, I'm usually kind of worn out. But I'll watch it if it's on.
What you think is gonna happen with Deion?
It depends on how he does. I think that they'll probably perform a little bit better this year than some of the critics may have projected that they would perform this year. But they're a team with only a couple of players, one of whom might be the best player in the whole country. Probably is. So next year, I don't know.
How many games you give them this year?
I'd have to look at their schedule. Somebody was saying they could go as high as 8. I don't see that happening. I could see them maybe sneaking into a bowl at 6.
I've been hearing 5 games.
That's possible.
And everybody that I know that's real football people, they say Deion probably wins 5 games. And it's funny because last year when we was talking about it, like I'm a huge Deion fan. When I used to watch football, I haven't watched football really. I ain't been into football probably in about 20 years. Like
Sure.
I haven't really been into football since I was a kid. But I'm a huge Deion Sanders fan, obviously. Emmitt Smith, Deion Sanders, all of the guys from the 90s when I was a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But looking at how he coaches and everything going on, I always thought it would be tough for him to be a really great coach at a high level.
Sure.
Like historically, great players usually make horrible coaches. I was thinking to myself, like, which player in professional football or professional basketball, like, who was the greatest coach that was the greatest player? Probably like
I would say
Russell won the championship.
But as a player coach, though.
That's why I say he still had to play. Yeah.
Yeah, because when he went to the Nuggets, it was not good.
Oh, when he was coaching the Nuggets, yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to count baseball. I don't understand what a manager. From what I gather, the role of the manager of the baseball team is not quite the exact same situation as it is in other sports with the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Is like as far as the role that they play.
Mm-hmm.
But shit, I mean, I'm trying to think.
Jason Kidd is in the conversation. I mean, he did lead a team to the finals, even though they pretty much got destroyed.
Yeah.
Has a Hall of Fame coach ever won a championship? A Hall of Fame player ever won a championship as the head coach? Maybe in the 70s.
Oof. Mm-mm.
Didn't happen in the 80s
In
for sure.
football,
It
no.
didn't happen in the 90s for sure. It didn't happen in the 2000s for sure. It didn't happen in the 10s for sure. And it hasn't happened now.
I mean, God, the best player to probably coach and that he's won a championship might be like Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers, yeah. But Doc Rivers is not a Hall of Fame player.
Mm-mm.
Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr was pretty remarkable. I mean, he was decent as a player.
Yeah.
Jason Kidd is interesting. I mean, if he can pull
That's
it off,
that's
but he
probably
still
as good as
hasn't
it's going to
pulled it
get.
off. Yeah, he hasn't pulled it off yet.
I'm trying to think of like NFL Hall of Fame players that have coached. Like Art Shell was in the Hall of Fame. He coached the Raiders. They didn't do very well.
Somebody said that in the chat. Shout out to Mills Lane. Shout out to
There
everybody.
you go.
No Ceilings Live. Shout out to all y'all in the chat. Rachel Ray, C. Deal, Dower, Westside.
Vrabel was good.
Yep. Are you dumb? That's funny. No. I don't know.
Vrabel, I think, was in some Vrabel. He was like a linebacker for the Patriots, and I think he went to a couple Pro Bowls, and I think he coached a team to the Super Bowl or close. I think I get my people confused a little bit, but
yeah, that's tough. So what do you think about the podcast that drops tomorrow? How do you feel about that? The podcast
from yesterday?
Yeah, with Red and Brett.
Conversations about calories?
No, we didn't call it that. We called it Conversations about Zacchaeus Jones. That's her name. Zacchaeus Jones.
Yes, the walking calorie. I don't want to say she does much walking. Let's leave that out.
Right.
It was interesting. It was interesting. It caught me off guard because it happened so organically. Because I was expecting a different conversation, which will be saved for a later date. But I don't know that lady.
I mean, where are you at with all of these people doing mukbangs on YouTube and all of these people? See, like I thought it was cool. Okay, so there's a guy in LA called Mr. I think his name is Mr. Nice Guy, but he's like kind of like this kind of awkward guy. You know what I mean? Especially to be in LA. You know, to be a brother. You know what I mean? And maybe that could be also I'm a bit biased because I come from a specific part of Southern California, but he just seems socially awkward, and he goes to all of the places in LA and tries the food. And you know, I always thought those people never ate all the damn food. I always thought, you know, that was the trick. They just tasted the food, they tried this, they tried that, and they tried this. Because it would be no way possible for you to eat all of this damn food and be okay, you know, day in and day out, trying all this crazy shit.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how frequent they post. Like, does he do one a week or does he do like 3 a day? It's like what I was saying yesterday.
Well, yeah. I mean, he definitely. I don't follow him because he's a little too social. I don't follow a lot of people on social media that's socially awkward for me. Like I don't even follow people like that. I just don't. I know that sounds crazy. I get it, but if you kind of like come across cornballish, I really ain't. Yeah, I'm not going to really fuck with it because it comes across disingenuous.
Sure.
Who I follow on social media matters. Like I don't really want to be disingenuous about it at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that lady. See, I don't know what the posting frequency is. She's. All I've really seen is the stuff that you've posted in the chat of hers. So I don't know where she even lives or where she's based out of.
She's based out of Tennessee.
like Nowheresville, Tennessee, or is she in Nashville? Is she in Memphis? Like, well, I don't know where she
think she's
is.
in Memphis or in the suburb of Memphis.
Sure. Because at that rate, I'm like,
No.
she's
Zacchaeus is eating. She eating. She's eating all the food, bro. I'm not lying. Like
yeah. No,
every
I
single I
feel like
saw her.
her shit's more about I mean, as it looks now, the spectacle of just how much is this lady gonna fucking eat than really what she's eating. Like you're critiquing like Chinese food in Memphis for Christ's sake. I mean,
I don't even know if she's critiquing it
well, whatever
because
she's doing with it.
when she's eating it.
Well, that's
I
yeah.
almost this is gonna sound crazy, but people laughing in the chat. No, for real, they're one like I really watched this young lady grow. Like she's gotten swollen, more swollen and more swollen
Yeah,
every
we
day.
physically grow.
Like physically grow, not
Yes.
just her audience, but
Yeah.
like her. You know what I mean? And it's so crazy because she's
Well,
gotten so like I said on the pod, when y'all hear the pod, remember, click the link below, subscribe to the No Ceilings podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. But we talk about it. But she got so big you can't see her ears no more.
yeah,
Like
she
so
looks like
she's
she
lifting
looks like she
straight.
could be popped.
See how I'm
Like
lifting straight ahead, right? You can see my ears.
yeah. If she
You
wore
can't see
these, you
it.
couldn't even see these.
Like all this and this has grown out so
Yeah.
swollen that you can't see this. You can't see
Yeah,
none of this.
she's growing at a faster rate than her audience, which is pretty impressive.
No, I'm saying everybody laugh. I'm serious, man. No, like y'all have to. I watch these people like I said again, Mr. Chime Time, different people who try food. Um, you know what I mean? And I always thought they didn't eat all the food. Like a mukbang, the whole joint of a mukbang is to eat all of the food, but that's rare. This lady is showing her regular plates.
I don't. There's no way on earth. I'd like to talk to her and figure out what it is she's thinking about all this because I want to know. Like, all right, do you think that you're showcasing food, or are you very well aware that you're the butt of this joke and that you're just showcasing yourself eating, and that you were going to do this anyway, and you're just going to gorge down an obscene amount of food, just whatever, just because.
She doesn't know how to clean her small intestines and large intestines. I don't think that's the solution. I don't even know if there's enough cleaning for the type of things she's devouring, per meal.
Yeah, that's like the issue that I have in Florida, where I don't take my car to get washed very often because it rains every day.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know you can if you can clean your dog. You got to follow. You
I
have to
think a
follow.
lot. They say it's like 20. You might have as much as, in the worst case, like 20 pounds of waste that could be cleaned out of your, digestive tract or something like that. She's got 180 to 380 pounds, possibly more, of just human mass.
Dang, what's the deal, man? Shout out to everybody in the chats, filling the chats. Once again, the zone.
Intercontinental haberdasher. I like that. What's a
Dame,
haberdasher?
Dame is a mental giant, bro. Dame is a mental giant. He's one of my partners from New York.
Nice.
I don't know if you could start there first, man. When you like her habits, a lot of people I'm watching, it's like that lady who had that, you know what I mean? It's like that lady who made that. I don't know if y'all saw it on Instagram. Man, the
That woman.
podcast is funny. You thought Pete was going off now. You got to wait to hear this podcast tomorrow. But she had 4 fish fillets and 2 Big Mac patties on one bun. And like, I've been hearing about this. They've been advertising it. And I'm like, I've never seen that advertisement. And it's a comedian,
Wait,
like I said.
you didn't see the mixed surf and turf?
No, I didn't see the mixed surf and turf.
Wow. Where were you?
Yeah, I didn't see that advertisement for the mixed surf and turf. Are you dumb? The best way to lose weight fast is to attack those intestines. No.
Like surgically?
Pete, you could just do a whole set on fat jokes.
Probably.
You should just like your comedy set, you should just build it around talking shit about fat people.
I don't have the jokes. I just have like someone. I'm like a batter, so I need a pitcher with fat jokes. With my other material, I could pitch and hit. I could throw the ball up and run. Like as a comedian, you have to throw the ball, run over, hit it, and then go catch it. Like you're the whole thing. With fat jokes, I can just hit the ball if someone throws me, a fat comment. I can hit it out of the field.
Yeah. Your fat jokes is just silly. Fat jokes are never ending. No, but there is a real concern. Like honestly, like I said, we talked about eating on the podcast that drops tomorrow. We talked about eating correctly and being focused on what you take in, so forth and so on. But like I genuinely am concerned that this young lady is eating so no, not Lizzo. Not Lizzo. Lizzo is losing.
No, this woman actually ate Lizzo in one of her videos. Didn't even give it a second thought.
Oh man.
And then after that, she started her Chinese food review, which was I thought very impressive.
Oh man. Fuck. Look. No.
Concerned? I am resolved to her imminent demise. There's no concern and suggests doubt. There's no doubt here. Okay? This lady is in very serious danger for herself. I've equated to it would be like going on tour in the 80s with the Red Hot Chili Peppers when they were all like hardcore heroin addicts. I think one of them died. It's like and making a YouTube out of it, like their backstage heroin abuse. This is the food version of that to me. There's no doubt.
It's all bad. It's all bad. My guy Shati, what's up, Lo? DC up in here, man. What's happening? Represent, put them cities in them chats, man. I'll be always like to know where everybody from. Lizzo been getting in shape. She started to take it serious. I think she's marketed. It's gonna be weird because she was marketing a level of body positivity, and then she's getting herself in shape, which probably should have never marketed the body positivity in the first place.
You can't fucking do both. I do have a comedy bit about that where I say like the schizophrenic nature of the whole public service announcement culture in this country. You can't be watching television and the first commercial is no fat shaming and the second commercial is about cardiovascular health or you're going to die. You either pick one or you pick the other. You don't do both. They can't coexist.
Yeah. People try to crip shame me all the time. People really try to crip shame me. No, just regular people, regular everyday people. They be like, "Oh, you look how old you are. You a crip?" And I'm like, "Was it supposed to be because I was young?" One day we have to unpeel. Maybe we'll do that on the next live.
Yeah. When is crip graduation? Like at what point do you leave?
You don't. It's like being a part of the military. Like you're forever proud of your community and your ranking.
Yeah.
You just it never wears off. But that's because, again, you know what? We're going to really peel that back. I'm going to figure out the right person. Who would y'all like to hear us talk about cripping with? So y'all can understand a little bit more about kind of, because I do think the movies have confused a lot of people to where when they think of cripping, they think it means you have to snatch old ladies' purses or you have to, like, just the concept of what people think cripping is. You know what I mean? I remember I've talked to people and it was like they thought cripping was you hate blood. And I'm like, cripping existed before blood. So cripping is not hating bloods. You know what I'm saying? Cripping is not just stealing. You know what I mean? Like cripping is like in the streets, it's the ultimate sense of accountability. Like you gotta be accountable. That's what really the people that you respect in the community is about. People who are accountable. Like if you get yourself in trouble and you go to jail and you don't tell anyone else, tell on anyone else to avoid accountability, you get respect. So I get it when people hear that term, they be like, "Oh, y'all bragging about going to jail." No, what you brag about is being accountable for whatever you did wrong and then taking the punishment for it.
Yeah, you brag about how you go to jail, not that you go to jail.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of the critical element there.
But again, that's the confusion. You know what I mean? When you hear people talk about it, they really feel like, oh, the average person that is maybe not they're not a criminal or in a lifestyle, and they hear a rap song and they're like, oh, well, you guys are bragging about going to jail, and I'm like, nah, bro, nobody brags about going to jail.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Like,
brag about being accountable for whatever it is you did and dealing with the punishment proudly.
sure, and it's
That's
to, it's
something to
it's
be
what you
proud
did and how you dealt with it. I don't think that there's a Crip out there, and like in a like totally hypothetical scenario, like some guy, gets high and goes and sexually assaults like a young girl. He's not going to brag about that and then
of.
snitches for a reduction and then goes and brags about his reduced sentence that he got no, he's not going to brag about that.
Yeah, yeah, on everything. It's a real tough thing for everybody on the outside to understand. But to me, like I always tell anybody I talk to, is pretty standard. You know what I mean? Like this isn't every community, right? Except this community is saying the law is not the ultimate guide of conduct. How about that?
It would be funny if there became a term within the greater Crip community that referenced this Walsh guy, the vice presidential candidate,
Mhm.
who was like falsely claimed his rank and his participation within the military.
You
Like
did?
instead of snitching or instead of false flagging, like false flag is no longer a term. We're gonna call it waltzing.
Well,
That would be funny.
change false flagging into waltzing.
Yes.
You know what? I think Wednesday at noon we're going to do a podcast about the things rappers do to become gang members. I mean, I think the thing rappers do to bring validity. Because I do think there is a movement of people joining gangs to become rappers.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was true. It never made sense to me.
Well, yeah, you're the only person it never made sense to.
Really? Everybody thinks that?
Yes.
So people would join a gang to just be a rapper.
Yes. As that, the term street credibility post dates that concept. It became clear probably because of Snoop, but like he was probably like the first mega factor in the industry who was known to be a Crip. But like, yeah, there as soon as there's marketable value around a thing, such there can be like a gain that you can achieve from that. Yeah, sure.
You
And
know what?
also because you get other people, it's like you say you jump on the scene as a rapper.
Yeah.
If you don't have some sort of like bona fides, your career is going to get hacked down by other people who are trying to, take your spot in the game because you don't have those records on your name.
Well, I mean, that all goes to the thought that hip hop is street urban culture. That all goes into the
Sure.
thought that hip hop is street urban culture. And at that point, the cultural movement of Los Angeles, right, or of Southern California is, one of the organizational, that does create the most culture is what we call Los Angeles gangbang. It does
Yeah.
create a lingo that there is a specific lingo that people use. But again, I think
And
it
on
was
top,
always in existence before gangs were in existence.
what was? Oh, the culture?
The culture, yeah. Like when I
Sure.
was younger, it wasn't just Crips or Bloods wearing Dickies.
Sure.
Everybody poor wore Dickies. They were creasing. Everybody poor would wear Chucks. Like it wasn't about the gang. It was just this is how people in the community dress to be fresh.
You want to know something else about it too?
Yeah.
Like, remember how like Pimp C kind of went after Jeezy for putting off, rapping on fake dope prices or whatever else, and guys talking about all this trapping that they did and whatever else. There's a lot of risk involved. If you're like rapping about trapping but not doing it, you're not going to go just grab the first 10 birds you can and go start kicking them off on a corner some fucking where just for the purpose of being able to demonstrate that you're living about what you're rapping about. But you can, in a lot of cases, it's easier to gain some sort of lower level, looser version of affiliation with a gang and sort of rep this gang and not really be participating at that highest risk level.
But that is standard, right? That most people that's from a community, they're not all doing the same thing. Just like in the military, right? Like you do have the jarheads, right? You do have the simple infantry, and of course they feel like they the most important piece. But then you have the people that actually, the doctors and the nurses, right? You have the minds of it all, right? Then you have the organization of it all. All of these people is what create the military. It's funny, me and Mob James McDonald got into this conversation in Chino. And obviously, James
was that at that the live show we did outside?
Yeah, that was at the live show.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right. So James is obviously, a jarhead. His reputation, was huge. It was like, there was a time that Mob James was probably the greatest name or the most known name in Pyru, like in Compton.
Sure.
That's the truth. Like he was some shit, you know what I mean? And his name came with a lot of head busting, you know what I mean? But he felt the same way. And I watched him and Reggie Wright argue about, the importance of all the facets. It's like Reggie Wright. Reggie Wright was, he was raised by his father, who was a major sheriff who looked out for me when I was younger, you know what I mean? When I was a kid, he could have put me in prison, you know what I'm saying? And he kind of looked out for me. But his son, Reggie to me is from the mob. I don't care if he was a Compton police or anything. He's from the mob. There's going to be certain ways he's going to favor people from that community because he's been knowing them people since they was little kids. And I remember trying to explain this to my homies before I even knew who Junior was. Like, I was like, yo, we should make some homies the police. We should put some homies through college to make them lawyers. Man, them people, everybody was looking at me so crazy because everybody spends so much of their time trying to achieve like maximum success as a trooper. And everybody just not a trooper. It just ain't gonna work. It's just not gonna work, bro. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
No chance. Everybody is just not a trooper. You gotta really be into that to make that work. And I don't think a lot of people is really into that. Shout out to Pasadena, everybody in the chat. Anthony Jackson, C. Deal still with us. Are you dumb? 17.5. Yeah, that was horrible. Pimp C was on him, and there was no way possible you was getting no dope in Atlanta for 17.5. Shout out to Derwan, Westside, all y'all in the chat, Derwan, Alchemist Prime, everybody in the chat.
I thought he was saying numbers lower than that, like 14.5, 13.5 or some shit, like stupid shit.
Yeah, hell yeah. But again, it's like right now. I saw that case. What happened with Pee Wee Longway? Pee Wee Longway, they arrested 30 different people. The feds arrested 30 different people, right? And they arrested 30 different people, and they put up a price. I think they picked up somewhere near 53 or 54, squares, birds, right? And they said the street value of that was like,
they always do that shit.
Lying.
Like, they do the value of like
if you
of two wholesales plus retail.
No, it's way worse than that. So, hold on, let me find it.
Like they don't say 15 or like if it's 10 birds, they don't say, oh, the street value of $200,000. They'll say the street value of
40 million,
breaking that down and then bringing that down and then stepping on it and putting it in somebody's nose. And it's like,
yeah, exactly. I'm finna go through it. I said it. Hold on 1 second. Let me find this shit. It was so interesting to me.
It's so ridiculous.
And they did it to bolster up. They did it to bolster up. They did it to bolster up their bus.
Yeah, they do it for the press release.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they stack it up and take a picture.
They found 57 kilos of cocaine, and the street price is $5 million. 5.7, so roughly $6 million.
Well, 57 times, so they're saying it's 100,000 each?
Yes. Where the hell can you get $100,000 out of brick?
Well, if you're buying it a gram at a time, which is what they're quoting it at, a gram at a time.
What is $100 gram? It's 1,000 grams in a brick.
10,000 grams in a brick, so no, $10 a gram.
Grams. That's why it's called
1,000.
Yeah, called
kilo. Oh yeah. Kilo oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right, so if it's 57, they said 100. You're gonna get $100,000 out of every brick, right? Roughly, is it about there? Yeah, 100,000. So you would have to get $1,000 out of every gram, right? Roughly, excuse me, no, yeah, $1,000 out of every gram. Wait a minute, yeah, 1,000 times 1,000 is 100,000, right? No, 100 times 1,000. So they have to get $100 out of every kilogram.
Yeah, so they're saying
$2,800 out of every ounce.
Yeah, they're basically saying we got 57 Ks of fish scale. They're going to step it down times 4, and they're going to move it at $25 a gram, and that's the street value. You know what they didn't add in was the street value of all the fillers. It might be even 5.71 million.
You can't get $2,800 out of no ounce. It's 28 grams in an ounce.
If you got pure and you walk it down to 50, 40,
you can't get $2,800 out of no ounce. I don't give a damn what you do. You can't get $2,800. First off, how bad it would have to be cut, nobody would buy it. And for sure, you ain't getting nothing pure. That day is over, so that's not even realistic. But
yeah,
I'm saying $2,800 out of every ounce.
What percentage are you probably getting these days if you buy in real bulk? Like if you buy 50 birds?
It's always going to be cut because at this point everything is going through southern borders and everybody putting theirs on it.
That's what I'm saying. Like I just wonder when you get to that point, if you're
through the first Southern American countries, they cutting it, putting their thing on it. When it finally make it to Mexico, they go cut it down and put some more on it. Man, you probably got out of the whole bird, man, you might got maybe half.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably. I was gonna guess about 60, but yeah.
Yeah, half raw. Maybe 18 ounces. I had to ask.
Yeah,
I had to ask, bro. But that don't even make sense. They even had they had 55,000 pounds of marijuana. 55,248 pounds of marijuana. Guess how much they said the street value? And they keep using the term the street value. 55,248 pounds of marijuana, $250 million. $250 million.
So they're saying what, 500 a pound?
$1 million. Hell no. 5,000.
5,000 a pound?
Ain't nobody selling no weed for $5,000 no pound no more.
No.
And that you can't get that on the street. That's just crazy. Shout out to Mason. I see you, Brady. He said, man, this is some bullshit numbers on Pee Wee, man. Yes, they did. Ben Frank, man, it's crazy, dog. And this is the problem when you really come from the streets as a rapper. Like it is a level of responsibility that I have when I get on that microphone. But it's like, come on, man, 55,000 pounds, $250 million. Where are you gonna get that from?
People don't know the difference. I mean, and that's like when they always say we seized 5 pounds of fentanyl at the border in some guy's backpack. That's enough to kill all of China and India.
Now they said 1.3 kilos of heroin. The street value on that is $130,859. So $131,000 on 1 kilo and a third. I don't know much about heroin. I never mess with heroin. I'm definitely more of a PCP, crack guy, weed guy.
I don't know the current prices. It used to be about 2.5 times Coke price because, but like, it was weird because they almost. I feel like heroin a pound was almost a Coca key.
I don't know. Some of these numbers is crazy. Here's all the numbers. They said 155 firearms. That's worth $270,000. So that's roughly $1,800 a gun.
Yeah.
$1,800 a gun.
What kind of guns were they?
I don't know what the fucking gun you're gonna get $1,800 for.
We got Desert Eagles or some shit. Go probably by 18.
On the streets, where you gonna get $1,800 for a gun? But okay, maybe in Atlanta they can get $1,800 for a gun. I definitely would think it'd be a gun for sure is cheaper in the South. Like a kilo of cocaine is cheaper in the West, but a gun for sure is cheapest anywhere in the South.
Shit's always the cheapest in the Southwest because if you get in burners, they coming in burners through the border.
No, guns expensive here for some reason.
They used to be dirt cheap in Arizona because we used to. I mean,
that's the gun state, so everybody got California.
People weren't buying them like that. I'm talking like off the market guns.
I'm saying all the guns are off the. You can go to a show in Arizona. You can go to a gun show and buy them without a damn license, or show your license and they don't write it down. Like they just take your shit and you go commit a crime, this on your ass. 500 pounds of meth, $22 million.
I don't know what the fuck that should cost. I know it's cheap. It's usually cheap.
See, my issue is that 57 kilos of cocaine worth $5 million. You're not getting $100 a gram in no sense. I don't care if you make it crack. You're not getting $100 a gram.
Yeah.
You're just not going to get that. 7.1 kilos of fentanyl, $700,000. So that means a kilo of fentanyl is worth $100 million.
Huh?
7.1 kilos of fentanyl, $707 million.
So they're saying
that 1 kilo is worth $100 million. I'm in the wrong business.
That I actually can believe.
Well, I need to be in that 100. You for a kilo of fentanyl, you can get $100 million.
That wouldn't surprise me. Because you moving a flake at $10. I mean, they almost like
$100 million for 1 kilo of fentanyl. Man, them people who make fentanyl, they killing.
Literally.
55,000 pounds of marijuana, $250 million.
Oh shit. That's why I think it's going on.
Includes large amount of illegal marijuana grown in Butte County, California. 1.3 kilos of heroin, $130 million. So I guess they're saying a kilo is so a kilo is worth $100,000. 5.9 pounds of GHB is worth $267,000. And 755 grams of mushroom is $15,000. I don't believe that.
Mushroom I could see being very cheap.
Mushrooms is hella cheap. That ain't even 2 pounds, and you telling me that is worth $15,000? That's not true. 2 pounds, $448. That makes eight. Eight is a change. That ain't even 2 pounds. No, hell.
How much does it take? I don't know. Neither of us know how the fuck much you have a mushroom you have to eat. I mean, a mushroom weighs like nothing.
You can get a pound of mushrooms, I think, for like $700-800. Mushrooms.
Yeah. But a pound of mushrooms is like fucking 500 mushrooms. They weigh nothing.
Sure.
You dehydrate them, they're gonna weigh even less.
Even if you pumping them on a small level, I still can't see you getting $15,000 out of it.
I just want to know, like, if you want to trip out on some mushrooms, how much mushroom do you have to eat?
You know what, my boy Twana know. We're gonna have to bring somebody on. No Ceilings Live. Thank y'all for joining us on this Monday at noon, the lunch hour. I'm going to leave here, go to do the community with the homie Pun and AD. So y'all tune in to that right there. We'll be back here Wednesday. We're going to figure out some dope stuff to talk about. Make sure y'all hit us on Twitter Twitter is below. Instagram is below. Tell us what y'all want to get into this next Wednesday at 12, Friday 12. New podcast. Click the link below in the caption. New podcast tomorrow morning. Conversations about Zacchaeus Jones. Get into this dietary conversation with us, man. We love y'all.
And we want mushroom testimonials. So any stories about bad trips, we want to hear them.
We want to hear them.